It's been over 5 years since the announcement of Overwatch 2, and despite all the sequel's past shortcomings, I believe it is finally about to earn the 2 in its name. The journey has been long, but Season 16 is about to be huge. You might know me as the history guy, yet for once, I can't help but feel hope for the bright future that lies ahead. 5.5 years ago, Blizzard announced Overwatch 2 at BlizzCon 2019. At the time, people were ecstatic. Overwatch had been a huge hit ever since its release in 2016, and now the devs were promising something truly special, an evolution to the game's universe. Overwatch was no longer going to just be a first-person hero shooter, but now also an entire world filled with excitement. As we know though, things would take a turn for the worse. In April of 2020, Echo would be the final hero joining the Overwatch roster, and following that, the game would receive minimal support for 2 full years. People hoped it would at least all be worth it, yet that dream was simply not meant to be. October 2022 would see the sequel's official release, or actually not, since it was simply labelled as an early access experience. Still, that didn't stop fans from criticising it hard. Not only did this game replace the original rather than existing alongside it, something which was clearly not part of the original vision, but the overall update simply didn't warrant the name of Overwatch 2, especially not after a wait which had felt so long. At least the PvE was still on the horizon, or was it? In August of 2023, 10 whole months later, Blizzard would finally release their first set of PvE missions, yet also the last. These missions were underwhelming to say the least, perhaps not in all aspects, but definitely in most. A relatively expensive price tag didn't help, and as a result of their failures, Blizzard would officially cancel the PvE a little over a year ago in March of 2024. I don't say all of this to hammer down on Overwatch's failures. In fact, I kept the recap pretty short for good reason, so that we can recognize why it didn't deserve the 2 previously, but move on into a brighter future. Because from that announcement onwards, the game has stayed on a positive trajectory in my opinion. October 2024, 2 years after launch, would see the introduction of the Junkenstein's Lab limited time mode. This was the start of something special, not just because it was a bit of fun, but because it showed glimmers of the game's new path. You could say that they were just reusing PvE assets, but I'd say they began to craft something new out of the scraps of a failed project, just like the devs originally did from Blizzard's cancelled game Titan. And we all know how that turned out, otherwise you'd never even be watching this video. Moving into 2025, and this season we got perks, a pretty significant change to the game's core gameplay, not enough to warrant the 2 in my opinion, but definitely a step in the right direction. And now, in just a few days, I think that title may finally be earned. Stadium. That is naturally what I'm talking about. It's not the only thing, so I'll get onto some other big things later. But first, Stadium alone is enough for me. If you somehow haven't heard yet, Stadium is an entirely new mode within Overwatch. Not just instead of push or escort, rather an entirely different experience. The way it works is you choose one hero at the beginning of the game, after which you play a series of rounds on smaller and shorter maps. Between rounds there is a shop which contains a whole host of upgrades to choose from, ranging from standard stat buffs to massive changes to the ways your abilities function. There's no switching heroes, so the goal is instead to boost the one you picked up to astronomical heights. This new mode is also introducing third person into Overwatch, something I personally don't care much about, but a pretty big addition nonetheless. Overall, Stadium is going to be a completely new way to play Overwatch, and I am super excited. Why though is this the moment? What makes Stadium so great that it finally earns the 2? Well, I believe that this mode has a lot of potential, whilst also changing the gameplay enough to partially deliver on that excitement of the original announcements, just in a different way. From what I've heard, the sky seems to be the limit with Stadium, with new exclusive modes possibly being added to it in the future. Also, the fact you can't swap heroes will likely remove the issue of counter swapping for those who dislike it. If you like swapping, this mode might not be for you, but even if you get a bad matchup, I think the upgrades will give you enough of an ability to outbuild your opponent. Stadium could also bring in an entire new set of players to the game, those who much prefer the complex nature that this new mode offers. In concept, it seems to have the right balance between competitive and fun, meaning that a lot of different people should be able to enjoy it in their own way. Personally, I still enjoy the base game, but it's lost quite the same hook it once had for me. This though adds a whole nother dimension to the way I could play Overwatch, and the potentially wacky experience of super buffed abilities is something I'm all for. Admittedly, this won't be everyone's cup of tea. Some will still prefer the regular game and be far more hyped about Freya's release, for example. The mode will also only start with a limited number of heroes, probably only 14 like they initially announced, but there could be more. I don't think the limited hero pool is necessarily an issue, but I do think adding more heroes frequently will be crucial to the mode's staying power, because the one thing bad about Junkenstein's lab was simply the lack of options. Another critique I've heard is the potential longer game time, and although matches will be longer than your standard quick play, they still won't be your hour-long League of Legends game, so I don't think it will be too bad. Moving on, Season 16 will also be introducing hero bans to Overwatch. The exact implementation of this is unclear for now, but this is definitely a welcome addition in my books, and one people have been asking about for a long time. This is all I really know for now, as this script is being written a couple of weeks before the new season. From what I do know though, I can't wait, and maybe I'll even make some stadium videos when it comes out. If I find any more info between when I finish this video and when I post it, I'll put it in a pinned comment. Thanks for watching, let me know your thoughts on the new season, and I'll see you next time.